Hi, it's Katie. Welcome to this class that is designed to help you with back pain during pregnancy. Before we get started, a few things that you might need. You might need a couple of yoga blocks too, and if you don't have any yoga blocks at home, if you have some thick books or something that you could stack up to put under your hands later, that would be helpful. Also have nearby a chair or a wall. If you have a wall near you, you're good to go. We'll have a pose that we're using some supports with the wall. If you don't have one nearby, grab a chair. And what else? Also have a few pillows for relaxation pose in case you want to lie on your side or if you want to create like an elevated lying on the back. So we'll walk you through that as well at the end. And lastly, if you have any music of your own that you would like to play during class, since I won't be playing any. So go ahead and key up that music if you would like some. Okay, so before we get to our posture, we're going to center and ground. So take a moment to just sit comfortably on your mat any way that you'd like and close your eyes. So just bringing and drawing your awareness inward. I want you to remind yourself that you are going to listen to your body today. You will not do anything that doesn't feel right, right? No sharp pains, no twinges, right? Listen to yourself. And try not to judge and just be in the moment, right? We're just going to have hopefully an enjoyable yoga practice where we are in the moment. All right, with eyes still closed, check on your posture. Feel like you're sitting nice and tall. And then check in on your physical body today. How are you feeling? All right, no judgment, just check. And I want you to bring your awareness and check in on your mental body, the fluctuations in the mind, and just notice what's been going on in your mind. And then lastly, go to your heart center and see how you're feeling today. And let that all go at this point. And we're going to gently make our way into a child's pose. You can keep your eyes closed if that's accessible to you. If not, no big deal. You'll gently open your eyes and move your body around to like a hands and knees position on your mat. Take your knees as wide as you need to, depending on how far you are in your pregnancy. And then sink your hips back to your feet, to your heels. All right, so third trimesters can stay up nice and tall if you need the space. You don't have to get your forehead to the ground in child's pose. There's no rules here. However, if you want to, if you have the space, you can drop down to elbows or possibly drop the forehead to the mat or to your block that you might have grabbed. So find your version of child's pose. Make it a lazy one where the forearms are resting into the floor. And then we just want you to check on your breath here in your child's pose. Remember, at any point, everyone, if something gets uncomfortable, of course, move your way out of the posture and just come into a modified version depending on what works for your body. So for here, in this pose, I want you to notice the quality of your breath. Begin to deepen your breath if you haven't yet. And especially during pregnancy, the little one tends to take up a lot of space in there, right? Jamming up into the diaphragm and the lungs. So for this child's pose, I want you to bring your awareness to your back, right? Your spinal column and your back ribs. And when you breathe, in your mind's eye, watch the movement of the ribs, and then you can actually feel the movement, right? So on your inhale, feel as though your back body moves up toward the ceiling. Ribs are separating, and exhale, they gently fall back in towards your torso. Doing that a few times, deepening that breath on the inhale as you expand up, and exhale as the ribs sink back together. So 3 more breaths like this at your own pace, inhaling and exhaling nice and slow and smooth. Really trying to get the breath into the back body, even the sides and the armpits, so you have more space for your lungs. If this pose is comfortable for you, you can come here at any point during class. As you're ready, when it feels right, we're going to come back up to that hands and knees position. So take your time, pressing the hands into the ground. If your forehead is down, slowly lift up. I don't want you to get dizzy, and shifting the weight forward so you're back into that hands and knees position. Okay, looking good. And then from here, we're going to just do a little table balance with movement. Right, so we're going to be lifting opposite limbs on the inhale. So when you're ready on the next breath in, inhale, right leg, left arm straight out, and exhale, take it back down to the mat. So we're not there long, but enough to engage the back and strengthen that back. Inhale, the other leg, left leg, right arm extends out. Exhale, lower it down. So keep switching. Inhale, right leg, left arm. And exhale it down. Inhale, left leg, right arm. Exhale it down. Couple more at your own pace. So we always breathe at our breath, not with me or your neighbor, whoever's practicing with you, right? You listen to your body and your breath. Strengthening that back. And how about, a little engagement in the belly, hugging baby up into your body. So when you're ready, we'll finish off with the left leg, right arm, and then just come back to table pose. Take a breath here, just check in, see how you're feeling. Find that deep breath again. And then we're gonna work just cat pose. We usually do a little cat-cow of both, but for right now, with hands right under your shoulders, fingers spread really wide, right? And press through the knuckles of the hands and the pads of the fingers, and try not to have too much weight in the wrist to avoid carpal tunnel, right? And then from here, we're just gonna tuck the tail underneath and then round through the entire back, through those shoulder blades, let the head drop down toward the floor, and just press the ground away from you. Space between shoulders and ears, and keep breathing here. So it's a big tuck in the tail to really elongate and lengthen that low back. It's tricky to breathe, I know, in this kind of pose. Try your best. And then release it all. Come to a flat back. Perfect. All right, and then from here, we're going to circle the hips. So make sure you have enough padding under your knees. We're going to take those hips to one side of your mat, to the front of your mat, to the other side of your mat, and back. So we're making small or large circles depending on you. And these circles can be nice and tiny, or they can be so large that you come into a knee plank in a child's pose. So you need to pick what works for you today and kind of play around with that. And every day is different, right? So kind of figure it out, what works for you. And if you're going one direction, make sure you go the other way now. All right, finishing off that last circle, we'll come back to our flat back again. All right, and then from here, I want you to drop your elbows down underneath your shoulders. And just see how this feels. So already here, you could feel like your heart and baby sink toward the mat. So there's a gentle upper back bend, right? You can stay here the entire time. If you can handle a little bit more, we're going to inch these arms out in front of us a little bit. So walk your elbows forward. Some people can go with their chin to the mat or their forehead to the mat. If that's too intense, don't do it. But if you can, and if it feels good, go right ahead. And just feel like your heart is melting to the floor. Big deep breaths into your shoulders, into your upper back. All right, so very gently, we're going to inch our elbows back in toward us. If you're already on your elbows, we're going to come back to your palms. So pressing the hands into the mat, coming back to your table. Perfect. So let's release that in a child's pose. Again, knees are as wide as you need them to be to account for the baby, and sink your hips way, way back. Right? And see if this feels okay. And if you can handle more, go ahead and drop down to a full child's pose. And just releasing the back. Taking about 2 more breaths here in your child's pose. All right, perfect. Walk your body up to your table pose again, hands and knees. So finding that perfect spot, and we're gonna grab onto our blocks. So reach for your blocks. We're gonna take them actually either side of us. You can press your hands into your blocks. And let's just come to a high kneel from here. If you need your blocks for stability, that's fine. But if you're okay, it's coming to a high kneel, imagining you're in mountain pose on your knees. And if you're having knee sensitivity, I'm gonna come forward and rest your hands on your blocks here. Just see how you're feeling. Big deep breath. And then we're gonna come into kind of a runner's lunge or a half splits. So we're gonna grab hold of our blocks and take one leg in front. Whichever leg you choose, we're gonna walk this leg forward and straighten that leg out, right? So the knee's not locked, but you feel a good stretch in the hamstring and the calf, and those front toes are pulling towards your shin. Now I know depending on where you are in pregnancy, you might have to angle this straight foot out to the corner or angle the belly away, wherever you need to be to make space. Okay, so right here might be plenty enough for your leg to feel a stretch, which is perfect. And you just sit in it, pulling those toes back, breathing deeply into the back of the front leg. Now, if you feel you can handle a little more, keeping a flat back, you can fold forward at those hip hinges. You use those blocks for support as you fold down a little bit. And your body will tell you how deep you can go, right? Also, just for safety purposes, make sure your back knee is lined up under your back hip. There's a tendency for the hips to be forward or back of that knee, but just for safety, let's keep the back hip over the back knee. All right, breathing here. So sometimes a back pain can be exacerbated by tight hamstrings. That's why we want to try and stretch these hamstrings out. Let's take 2 more breaths, deep breaths into the back of that front leg. Good, and now use your blocks for support. Use your belly muscles to hug baby gently as you pull this front foot in, so the knees back in alignment under the hip. And then again, standing tall on the knees, just to kind of counter that, see how you're feeling. Big breath into the heart center. All right, let's do the other leg. So we're gonna take the other leg out in front. Use your blocks for support. Extend that leg out, make enough room for the belly. Flex the foot in that straight leg, right? If it's excruciating, you don't have to flex the foot, or you can add a bend in that front knee if you need to, right? The straighter the leg, the more intense the stretch, but don't go crazy. You have to find that perfect spot, right? Where you're not overdoing it, but you're not underdoing it. Right? So getting some benefits, and every day is different, right? So what do you need today? Do you need to add a fold at this point, or are you good? Your body will tell you. When your mind gets distracted, just come back to your breathing. Right? Inhaling deeply and exhaling fully. Feeling the lungs empty, feeling them fill. Staying present. All right, friends, let's slowly, if you folded, you can come up. We're going to press into the blocks and use the belly and the hip flexors to pull that front foot in. Okay, you can take your blocks off to the side. You won't need them. And then we'll come back to hands and knees. Tuck your toes underneath. All right, so with knees nice and wide, right, toes tucked, we're going to walk our hands back toward us. And then we're going to pop the knees up into a squat. So we are squatting here. Walk your hands towards you. If you have a wall nearby, you can always use it for support. So just holding the squat just for a breath, not too long. Nice and low. And then taking the hands off the floor and seeing if you can come to stand from here. So some leg work. Yes. Perfect. All right. Great. So we'll come to mountain pose. Wherever you are on your mat is great. All right. So Tadasana, mountain. You've had me in class, you know this pose. If you've done yoga before, you know mountain pose, right? But it's always nice to be in the moment and feel the alignment again. So just feeling as though the feet are really pressing into the floor, but not the toes. And again, during pregnancy, if you feel like you need to be a little wider in your mountain pose, whatever you need to feel like you're grounded and centered. So having the hips over the ankles, the shoulders over the hips, crown of the head up to the sky. And maybe imagine little lead weights in your fingertips, drawing your fingers and your shoulders down to the earth. And gently hugging baby in toward your spine. Now re-find your breath. Is it still there, right? It's still there, but is it smooth? Is it long and deep? Good. Now from mountain, I'd like you to take your hands to your thighs, right? Just take your palms face down on your thighs. And we'll just work some pelvic tilts in a chair pose. So we'll just get comfortable with chair. Start to bend the knees, getting the hips to sink way behind you, right? And then the toes are soft on vacation. The heels are where you're feeling the weight. Shoulders back and down, and then pulling baby in towards you, right? So there's a slight tuck of the tail, not too much. And just holding chair here with hands resting. You know, if you're in the beginning of your pregnancy, you want to go crazy in your chair pose, no problem. But for now, just taking 2 more breaths here in a kind of a baby chair. And now straighten your legs, come back to your Tadasana mountain pose. And now we're going to work some pelvic tilts in our chair. So then come back to chair. And then really just working the cat part of a cat-cow. So inhaling, being where you are in neutral in your chair. And then exhale, tuck that tailbone underneath and elongate the spine and that low back. So inhale, release, untuck. Exhale, tuck it all under. Inhale, release. And exhale, tuck. Now, if your thighs are burning too much, you can still do this pelvic tuck in mountain pose. Go ahead and straighten your legs. Not a big deal. Inhaling and exhaling, tuck. Let's do 1 more. Inhaling, release. And exhaling, tuck. Good. Let's come to stand. Shake it off, right? Relax. Take a breath to cleanse and clear. Great. And now we're going to grab hold of one of our blocks, just in case. You might as well just hold it in one of your hands. We're going to separate the legs nice and wide, a couple, 2-3 feet. It really depends on your height, right, and your joints. Everyone's different. While we move into Trikonasana, triangle pose. So whichever hand has the block, we're going to turn those toes to face that side of the mat. Right, so toes pointing straight ahead toward that side of the mat. Opposite toes turning in toward your body slightly. Right, keeping those ankles and hips okay. Arms are going to float parallel to the ground. And now reach that block forward like you're going to try and reach the wall out in front of you. Keep the shoulders in the same plane as you just tilt your chest and take that block on the inside of that foot. Now, if you're having shoulder issues, you can go ahead and rest this arm on the body. But if not, keep the arm up. And so tricky pose, right? So this is also a back strengthener technically, but you must use those little belly muscles to hug in toward the baby, right? So use your belly to protect your back. Really nice stretch through the back as well. If your neck hurts, you can look down at the floor or even toward the side wall. eventually moving up toward to the top hands. Go where you need to go with your neck today. Breathe in triangle, pulling in baby toward you. Big deep breath. If it's too much, come up quite a bit or rest that top hand. All right, friends, we're going to relax that top hand. Ground through your legs, feel really strong. Inhale yourself up. Good, switching hands with a block and flip-flopping the feet, right? So getting the opposite toes to point the other way. All right, check too, which I didn't mention earlier, that your knees aren't locking. That you want to have legs straight, but a micro bend in the knee, or another way to make sure you're not locking your knees is to engage your quadriceps. So find that groundedness in the legs. Then when you're ready, arms parallel to the ground, reach the other hand forward, like you're gonna reach, big crease in that hip, and then just tilt. So some people might not need a block, or maybe the block is too low and you wanna come up higher, and that's fine. So find that perfect spot. I think depends where you are in pregnancy, you might need a little bit more support. So I like to bring the block with you. But again, to your yoga practice, get what you need. And you're breathing here. Pulling baby in towards you. Stacking hips, stacking shoulders. One more breath. Right, we're going to ground to the feet and pull the baby in towards you with your abdominals to inhale up. Exhale, release those arms. Good job. Okay, you can remove your block out of your way. And then we're going to keep the wide stance, but we're going to have toes outward and heels in. Right, so knees in line with the toes. Check your breath. All right, let's do a few little squats here with the breath. So as you're ready, on your inhale breath, we'll sweep the arms up overhead, taking the palms to touch. And on the exhale breath, take the palms at the heart and bend the knees. So it can be a teeny bend here at the knees, or it can be really low depending on you. Inhaling up, limbs straighten. Exhale, finding your squat. Keep going at your own breath, your own pace. What do you need? Let's do two more. Inhaling to rise up, exhaling deep into the squat, hands out, heart. One more. Perfect. Come back to center. Standing nice and tall. We'll heel toe the feet in a few inches, not too much though, because we're going to do some hip circles here. And then you can take, your hands can be dangling, they can be on your hips, they can be on your baby. We're just going to take those hips in a circle. So go ahead and slide those hips around to whatever feels good. So if you've had me in class before, you've heard me say this, but mostly this is amazing for back pain. In one of my prenatal yoga books, the author says to do this for about 3 minutes a day, and your back pain will definitely lessen. All right, let's switch the directions of your circles. All right, and relax those hips. Shake anything out if you feel like you need to. And this is where you're gonna need your wall or your chair. So I'm gonna grab a chair, just because it'll look nicer. So if you have a chair, you're standing at the back of your chair. If you have a wall, you are facing the wall. Okay, so wherever you are is good. So if you're on your wall, you're gonna walk your hands down to hip height and shoulder distance apart. If you have your chair, just hold on to the back of the chair, shoulder distance apart. Okay, so find your mountain pose here, taking a breath. And now, whether you've got wall or chair, walk your feet back behind you so that you can come to like a 90-degree angle at the hip joint. So feet are hip distance or wider if you need them to be. And you should feel a stretch here in the back and the shoulders. So almost feel like your whole heart can fall through your arms onto the floor. Right? No sharp pains, nothing like that. Listen to your body. Adjust as you need to. So if you're on the wall, your hands are flat, pressing into the wall, right, with some effort so you don't slip. And we're just holding this restorative downward facing dog. Taking a few more breaths. Finishing off this last breath. And then walk your feet gently toward the chair or the wall so that you are all the way back up to standing nice and tall in your mountain pose. Great. So if you have your chair, you can take it off to the side. If you're on your wall, just coming back to your mat. All right, so have a seat on your mat. Sit any way that's comfortable for you. If you're having tight hips and feeling like slouched, you want to grab it, your blocks or your pillow to sit on. So I just want to do a very gentle twist. So almost think when you're moving into your twist that you kind of keep baby facing forward, and we're really wanting to work in the upper spine for the twist for today. Okay, so have that beautiful straight spine. Tailbone rooting down into the earth, crown of the head lifting. And then maybe thinking about keeping, again, baby forward. We're just going to start walking our hands to one side to a gentle cross-legged twist. So again, think baby facing forward, but I'm going to move the chest and the shoulders away from the front. So always listening to how you feel. If this feels off, come back around to center and breathe, work on your breath. If you're okay here, great. Just breathing, working a little spinal twist for back health and spinal health. All right, slowly unwind out of your twist, come back to the center and take a breath. Perfect. Let's move to the other side. Again, nice straight spine, and then inch and walk your hands the other direction. It doesn't have to be far, right? And especially during pregnancy, you should never be doing extreme twists. No, right? So no extreme anything really. No extreme back bends. No extreme twisting, forward bends. Relax those shoulders. And you'll see if you can relax your face a little bit here. And then slowly unwind your body back around to center. Take a breath, see how you feel. And then from here, we're going to work a double pigeon pose. And we'll just see where we're at with that. So for double pigeon, we'll move one of our legs out of the way a little bit, right? So have the bottom leg. Right now, if you're sitting cross-legged, this foot is probably closer in towards the groin. I want you to move it away a little bit so that the shin, calf shin area is kind of parallel to the front edge of your mat. So you have more space between your body and your leg. And then flex the foot to protect the joint. We're gonna do the same thing with the other leg, stacking it right on top. So line up your foot with your knee, both sides. And so this top knee might be really high, and that's okay. Or you can also sit on some props. Now, if it's really uncomfortable still, what I want you to do is straighten your bottom leg. Keep that bottom leg straight, and you'll still get into the same area, right? So modified version, straighten your bottom leg. Either one is good. So pick which one works for you. And once you're in it, just with a tall spine, see how this feels. Right, so this is a great pose for sciatic, and also hips and back are related. And I know someone close to me had a lot of hip pain, and eventually they did all these tests and said it was her back causing her hip pain. So they're definitely related. Now, if you're comfortable here, if you happen to have pretty loose hips, we are going to fold forward a little bit with a flat back. So keep the back straight as you fold forward at your hip hinges until you feel more stretch. So the wonderful thing about pregnancy too is that hormone relaxant that we don't normally have when we're not pregnant, which allows obviously for the joints to loosen for labor and delivery, right? However, means you might be able to get further and further in your yoga postures, but you also go too far. So really need you to listen to your intuition and how far to go into your poses. That you definitely feel a good stretch, but you're not overdoing it. See where your mind goes during these longer hold poses. And then when you're ready, slowly walk yourself up if you did add a fold to it. See how you're feeling and gently, gently switch sides. And each side is different, right? Each hip is different. So you may need to straighten your bottom leg on this side, or you may not. So, wiggling and figuring out what works for you as you line up your shins, right? That bottom foot should be pretty far away from your torso. So again, and if you have knee sensitivity, definitely flex those feet just to keep them safe. Heart is lifted, shoulders back and down. Always do that inventory. The slower the better we move into our postures, right? So that we really feel what's going on and what we need. So after you've taken inventory and asked, okay, can I stretch and fold a little bit more? We'll see. Body's going to tell us, right? Not our ego. So only coming to fold if it suits your body. And just breathe here. Breathe into your tight spot. Begin to take your way out of this pose slowly, slowly. Sitting up nice and tall. And then as you're ready, we'll unwind those legs. You can use your hands for support. You can extend them out into a little bit of a V and shake them out a little bit. Great. And then I want you to bend the knees and take the soles of the feet together. So go ahead and come into not a Baddha Konasana, more of a Tarasana. So there's a big diamond shape between the legs. Now, if this hurts your knee, you could always take support with a block underneath the outside of the legs. So this, again, always listening to what you need. Nice tall heart. See how you're feeling here. And if it's all right with you, go ahead and circle around with your upper body. Some more hip circles to ease that back. This is something we can do when you're watching a TV show or a movie. A lot of times if I need to work in my notebook or on the computer, I just sit on the floor so that I can do things like this. So it's great to do a full yoga class, but if you don't have time during the day, just do one pose and that'll help. So switch directions of your hip circles. And then coming back to center, taking a breath. And let's just add one forward fold. So with a flat back, just coming forward a little bit. We won't round right for now because we've got I don't know how much space you've got in there, right? And you don't want to crunch the uterus. You want to keep that lifted heart. All right, walk your hands back up out of the fold, and then we're going to come into a moving bridge. So it is typical after 20 weeks not to lay on your back for a long period of time, but we won't be there very long at all, and the whole time we'll be moving. So it'll be very safe, but as usual, if something doesn't feel right, don't do it, right? So let's come and transition ourselves to our back on the mat with the knees bent and the feet hip distance apart. And just acclimating yourself here for a few breaths, just to see what this feels like on the back. Right, so feet are hip distance or wider. Neck is nice and long, so don't look at wherever, to the side, look straight up at the ceiling. Palms are face down next to you, feet close into the seat. And then we're just gonna move with the breath. So press the feet into the mat, press the palms into the mat. Inhale, lift the hips up toward the ceiling. So some of us can only go like a quarter inch off the ground. That's okay if that's you. The fact is you're trying. So going only as high as you can comfortably on the inhale, exhale, you're gonna release the tailbone back to the floor. So keep going at your own breath pattern. Inhale, lifting the hips, baby goes up with them. And exhaling down. Keeping neck straight, inhaling to lift. Exhaling down. We've got two more. Inhaling lift. Exhaling down. Last one. And now having the tail down into the floor, I want you to walk your feet mat distance apart, wider than your hips. Your knees might rest on each other for a breath. And then we're gonna windshield wiper the legs. Again, keeping your neck straight for now. We're gonna then let both knees fall to one side. Right? And then up and over to the other side. So literally just windshield wipering the legs back and forth. Just an inhale to lift the knees, exhale to lower the knees. Right? Getting into the IT band as well. So if you want to hold on one side, that's perfectly okay if it feels good. If you do hold one side, just make sure you do both sides equally. And then when you're ready to stop your windshield wipers, just coming back to center and resting your knees on each other just for a moment. And then asking yourself, is there anything else you wanted to do before we move into relaxation pose? And if there is, you can go ahead and do it on your own. Otherwise, it is time for Shavasana. Now, if you are, again, past 20 weeks, you want to lay on your left side or move into an inclined position, which I'm going to show you what I do. And I love this pose. And I'm not pregnant, right? So I will do this pose a lot just because I really enjoy it. What I do is I'll elevate my legs and my upper back. So kind of make like a little Stonehenge with my blocks and my big bolster here. But you could use pillows, right? Any kind of pillows you have to stack them up. And then I also create an incline for my upper body, right? So this is key when you're pregnant and you are beyond that time frame. So let's see here. You just make an incline, right? So however you can stack your pillows and your blanket. I just have a whole bunch of pillows I always have hanging around here just for this purpose. So you've got incline and you've got your Stonehenge. You might need to adjust it a little bit as you move into your relaxation pose. The key is getting that bolster or pillows behind you right to that low back, to that tailbone area, and leaning back onto that spot where your head is supported. Make sure your head is supported. And then if it feels okay, you can put your legs on top of this elevation. Now, you don't have to have the elevated part for your legs. It's just nice, I think, when you are pregnant and dealing with some swelling. It is helpful. So wiggle yourself into whatever version of relaxation pose. You can be laying on your side. If you're at home, you could be snuggled up on the couch, right? Do whatever you need to do to feel comfortable here. We'll be here for, maybe 8 to 10 minutes. So take a moment and start to wiggle out all your fidgets. So once you've got all your fidgets out, I'm just going to walk through the body with you just to make sure everything feels relaxed. So we'll go ahead and just bring awareness to your feet. And feel as though your feet are just melting, just softening. Peace and calmness enveloping your feet, every toe, your ankles. And now spread that calmness to your lower legs, your calves and your shin. From there, move that softness to your knees, the fronts of the knees, the backs of the knees. Relaxing the thighs, the upper legs, right? The hamstrings, the quads, even the femur bones soften. Right? Feel those bones heavy in the hip sockets. Relaxing the hips. Relaxing the pelvis, the glutes. And then bring awareness to your entire back. Feel as though your back is melting. All the stress and tension is gone. Relaxing the abdomen, maybe peeking in your mind's eye into the uterus and saying hi to the little one, growing healthy and perfect. And relaxing all your digestive organs, that they're working perfectly and calmly. Relaxing the heart, the chest, the rib cage. Just feeling like your entire torso now is soft and relaxed and healthy. Spread that softness to your shoulders and down your arms to your elbows. From your elbows to your forearms. Relaxing the wrists. Relaxing the backs of your hands. The palms of your hands. And every finger. Bring some relaxation to swirl around your neck. The back of your head softens and the top of your head. Relax your forehead, your eyebrows, your temples, your eyes, your nose, the bridge of your nose and your nostrils soften. Cheekbones, your mouth, your chin. Check your ears again, relax those ears. And relax your jaw. Even let the tongue go. Now we're just going to enjoy this time that you have with your little one, just the two of you, to rest and renew and not have to do a thing. Just enjoy this time to yourself. And wherever you are in relaxation, if you have time and would like to stay here longer, you're more than welcome to do that. However, if you are ready to continue with the day, without opening your eyes, just feel into your body and imagine the room around you. Maybe swallow and use your sense of taste. And then check your breath and deepen your breath a little bit. We're slowly bringing ourselves back from relaxation, but hopefully not leaving it all on the mat, right? We're going to take some of the calmness with us. So once your mind has wrapped itself around the fact that we are going to be moving, then start those movements, right? Wiggling toes and fingers while you're still laying on your supports. And then if you are left side lying, only when you're ready, you'll use your top hand to push you up to a seated position. Now, if you chose that inclined position, take your time. You might roll off gently to the left side and take as many breaths as you need before pushing up to seated. When you are ready to close your yoga practice for now, we'll take our hands together at Anjali Mudra. And just remembering that there is a precious life, right, growing inside you, but remember that you are also that precious life. You were once just as tiny, growing in someone's body. So I want you to keep that in mind as you treat yourself, just as you treat your child, so that you show yourself loving kindness and take care of yourself. So bowing to honor your own self, your own divine spark, and your baby. Namaste.